Hey, good morning, Jacques. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm talking to Garth Brooks.
Entering his second year as the LSU head football coach.
It was the only way I could get a foot in the door.
Joined by the icon, Kim Mulkey. Hey, Coach, great to see you.
Jacques Talk is sponsored by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp and Kuyon's Cajun Barbecue.
Well, it's my pleasure right now to welcome one of the all-time greats in Major League Baseball, a six-time All-Star, 303 career batting average, 2,176 career hits, 284 career home runs, over 1,200 career RBI. I can go on, but this is supposed to be a conversation. So, Will Clark, Will the Thrill, thanks for being here today.
Hey, my pleasure, Jacques. Thanks for having me.
You bet. And for those who don't know, your roots go back to Louisiana, Jesuit High School in New Orleans.
Yeah, Jesuit High School in New Orleans, and I was fortunate enough to be part of four back-to-back state championships at that school. So had a pretty good little baseball pedigree. And then, colleges came a-calling. I went to Mississippi State, spent 3 years there, and also was a member of the Olympic team in '84. And then Giants drafted me, and I was with them 10 years, wound up having a 15-year big league career.
Well, real quick, I know a lot of people enjoyed that SEC story, Thunder and Lightning, that came out about 4 years ago that featured yourself and Rafael Palmeiro. Were you happy with the way it came out?
Yeah, I think it was well done. It was supposed to be about, SEC baseball and the advent of how it kind of got going. We were a member of the first ever, I guess you want to say, Sunday night broadcast of SEC baseball. It was Mississippi State and Alabama at Alabama. We wound up winning that game. But, it came out real good. Rafi and I were teammates, and then, later on down the line, we were opponents in pro ball.
Now, you just got back from Birmingham. Major League Baseball really did a big event there to honor the Negro League players. Unfortunate yet beautiful at the same time that Willie Mays is honored there, passes away at the age of 93. You got to know him very well playing for the Giants there. Tell me about Willie.
Well, Willie Mays was kind of doing the same thing that I'm doing right now. I'm like a special assistant, come around, offer hitting advice and stuff like that. And he did the same thing, he and Willie McCovey, both while I was playing. And so, I got a chance to know Willie Mays extremely well. He became a dear friend and confidant and, a mentor on top of that. And so for me personally, it was real sad to hear of his passing. But at the same time, I wanted to celebrate his life. And, Major League Baseball had a tribute to the Negro Leagues in Birmingham. It was actually last night. And they wanted to, really focus on Willie Mays. Well, Willie passed the day before, so it became a celebration of Willie's life plus the Negro Leagues.
Yeah, Will, what a long life. Lives to 93. The Say Hey Kid, 23 years of Major League Ball, made his debut not long after World War II with the Birmingham Barons there in the late 40s. And, a guy that literally did everything. Like, sometimes it's like this guy hits for power, but he's lazy in the outfield, or he's a good fielder and he can't hit. I mean, this guy hit home runs. He stole bases. He was amazing in the outfield. He had a cannon for an arm. I mean, He did everything.
Yeah, no, he did everything. And, everybody wants to put labels on people. Well, if you want to put a label on Willie Mays, I mean, he was, first off, one of the greatest ball players ever. But then second off, he was the first ever five-tool player in the major leagues. Like you said, he could do it all. And for me personally, coming up behind him, the next generation, and learning from him, how to position yourself, how to look for certain pitches and certain counts, stuff like that. I soaked up every little bit of advice he gave me, and was able to put it to use in my career.
Will, it's funny. The other day I'm watching Clemson in the Super Regional, and this young man makes this he jumps and makes this basket catch in the outfield.
Yeah.
To save the day momentarily for Clemson. And Willie Mays makes this catch in 1954, over-the-shoulder catch in the World Series. This is 70 years later, and immediately the first thing people say is Willie Mays.
Yeah, exactly. And that catch was off of Vic Wertz. And, that was just termed the catch. And, that's one of the things Willie Mays was known for until today. As you well said, anytime somebody makes an over shoulder catch, whoever's doing the broadcast always refers back to Willie Mays. And that just shows you the greatness of Willie. What a true gentleman he was. But not only as intense as he was as a ball player and, giving you all the advice, but then off the field and just being a genuine person and being very approachable. He'll answer any question you wanted to. I mean, he became a real good friend and mentor.
I was watching some of your old interviews. You mentioned one day you guys were taking batting practice and somebody started nudging or, kind of getting after Willie Mays a little bit, challenging him.
Yeah.
He grabs a bat. He's in his late 50s and he cranks one out.
Yep. Our cleanup hitter, Kevin Mitchell, was giving him a little grief, just razzing him a little bit. And Willie had enough of it. And he said, "Give me a bat." And I'm standing next to him. And I was swinging a pretty good piece of lumber at the time. I was swinging a 35, 33, and I handed it to him. And he goes like this. He goes, "Oh, I don't want that little thing." And so Kevin was swinging a 35, 35. He grabbed it. He said, "Yeah, that's about right." And he get up to home plate. And his third swing, he went out of center field and in spring training. And I just sort of shook my head. And I told Kevin, I said, "Will you stop razzing like the best that's ever been?" I said, "He's doing stuff on a third swing. He ain't picked up a bat in forever. He's doing it on the third swing. You and I can't do it, and we play every day." I said, "Stop razzing the best that's ever been."
You've been out of the game now about 23, 24 years.
Yep. I retired in 2000, so this is year number 24. I've been with the Giants since 08. I'm one of their special hitting instructors. So not only do I see the major league team every month, but also see all of our minor league affiliates. Matter of fact, on Monday, I'm going to San Jose, California to see our low A ball team and work with some of those guys.
Awesome. They retired your number. You gave a tremendous speech that day, your number 22. What did that day mean to you?
I'm a little short on the Hall of Fame numbers. They kind of voted me out of the Hall of Fame, whatever it might be. But, the Giants retiring my jersey. And out of the whole existence of the Giants, there's only 11 jersey numbers retired. And, I was number 22. So when they put that up there, believe it or not, they put it up there right next to number 24, Willie Mays. And so he and I, not only being friends and being one of my mentors, but we'll be forever linked having our two numbers together up on that stadium.
So many people say you had the sweetest swing they'd ever seen. How early did that develop?
It started in high school and then, kind of made a little bit of adjustments here, a little bit of adjustments there, and everything kind of smoothed out once I got into pro ball. Once I got into pro ball, tweaked a few little things to help with some timing, on the pitcher and, a whole generation of kids, especially in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, I run into it all the time where people come up and say, "Man, I loved your swing. I try to pattern my swing after your swing. I tried to pull on the shoulder and finish high and all that." And, so it's a wonderful compliment to have, but, put in a lot of work to try to make it look as easy as possible.
You were the NLCS MVP in 1989. I'm on YouTube looking, and like this game one against the Cubs that you had, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you work hard and you put yourself into position to do the best that you can do, but you can't try to have a game like that.
Oh,
right?
well, you talk about game one of the playoffs. This first time, believe it or not, we ever played in Wrigley Field with lights. The lights were installed that year, and we played all day games in Wrigley. And so it was the first time playing night game. And, I was facing Greg Maddux, and it was one of those things. I had been swinging the bat pretty well, going into the playoffs. Matter of fact, Tony Gwynn and I went down to the last day of the season for the batting title. So, I was on a roll pretty good and just got locked in the playoffs. Maddux made a few mistakes and I didn't miss them, thank God. And you wound up being, 4 for 4 with 6 RBIs in the first game. And then that series just got better and better and better.
2 home runs, including a grand slam. They kept cutting away it was Zimmer with the Cubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
His face
Yeah.
just didn't change. He was just, I mean, he just looked like he was having his worst day, you know.
Well, and then not only that, Don Zimmer was our third base coach for a few years before he became the Cubs manager. And so Don and I, true friends. And, I know he was just thinking, why him? Why him? That kind of thing.
Will, there's things you remember as a kid and you don't forget them. And I just remember 1989, there's an earthquake and it's in the World Series and
Yep.
it's this big thing. And what the hell's going on? I mean,
Yep.
I
No,
guess, yeah.
it was like 7 minutes before introductions. And, as usual, we're out there in the outfield running our sprints. And I had just got through running a sprint to center field and I was walking back towards the first baseline. And there was a big roar come through the stadium. And I thought it was like those F-15s flying over. So I looked up, and when I looked up, the light towers were just going boom, boom. And I was like, oh, this ain't good. And about that time, you could actually see the wave coming through the stadium. And, by the time everything kind of settled down, I got back to the dugout, and the police radios were just blowing up. I mean, the Bay Bridge had collapsed. The Marina District down in San Francisco was on fire. We had some problems with the San Mateo Bridge. They had actually some cracks in the stadium at Candlestick. So, they shut that whole World Series down for 10 days. And the thing is, once you get playing on a major league side of things, you never have more than one day off. And we had darn near 10 days off. So all of a sudden that World Series resumes. It's like spring training all over again.
Wow. I guess it's a good thing, at least, that both teams were warm weather. I mean, if you were playing a team from the north 10 days later, I mean, you could have had snow and, I mean, terrible.
Yeah. And believe it or not, you want to know the honest guy's truth. Thank God that World Series was going on when it was, and it was the two Bay Area teams, because, people were either, watching it glued at home to the TV or at a bar or whatever it might be. Everybody was settled in for the game. That was in the middle of rush hour traffic, and that freeway that collapsed, that Nimitz freeway, would have been jam-packed like that. There'd have been 20, 30,000 dead. And instead, there was a few hundred.
Wow. Yeah, that's I just remember Al Michaels on TV trying to explain it and what had happened and all that.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
What a time. So how do you reflect on your career? I mean, certainly, have your number retired. You're in the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame. You're in Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. And you had a big run. You also played for the Rangers as well, and some other teams. So how do you reflect on your career?
I look back on my career, and the one thing that and I've told everybody this, when the lights are the brightest, when it's the pressure situation, I wanted to be up there. I wanted to bat in my hands, and I was able to do it. There's a lot of times, people will sit there, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded, and I get to actually live that and come through in the clutch. And that's what I came out of my big league career. I wanted my teammates to know that I was there for them. And when the game was on the line, if I had the bat in my hands, it was a pretty good sign.
These are the silly questions that I ask. Did you ever meet Journey and Steve Perry and all those guys?
You know what? I did not meet Journey and Steve Perry, even though they were a Bay Area band. Yeah. I did meet Chicago, believe it or not. I've seen them a few times, in concert. I'm actually going to see them again in September in concert in the Bay Area.
Awesome. Did you meet Peter Cetera before he was out, or?
I did not. Well, take that back. Peter was in the band, but he wasn't at the ballpark when I met Chicago that day. But since then I've got a chance to meet some of the guys, and they're awesome. They're as good of people as they are musicians.
Yeah. Well, here's a question: who had more hits, Chicago or Will Clark?
Well, my hits came in a little different form. They still had a lot of hits, though. I can tell you that.
Yeah. 80s radio, they dominated for sure.
Hey, look, I still, till this day, I still love them. I turn them on all the time.
Yeah. And different eras too. Like, I mean, the Saturday in the Park and the 25-624 and
exactly. It's just really different grooves, and it's a little something for everybody,
Yeah, into the wedding songs like You're the Inspiration and all that. So what are your memories too, before I let you go, of like Skip Bertman and Ron Polk and when that whole thing was going on?
Exactly. So Ron Polk was my coach at Mississippi State, recruited me, all that. and he was kind of I guess you want to say the grandfather of SEC baseball and SEC coaching. And then Skip Bertman came along. He actually came my sophomore year. So my junior year, it was his first full year. It was also Albert Bell's first full year, so he was a freshman. But, till this day, Skip and I laugh and giggle, and I'm like, if you'd have been coach at LSU, there'd have been no way I'd have got out the state of Louisiana. And he's laughing and giggling. He's saying the same thing. Ron Polk and Skip Bertman, both of them are two peas in a pod. They're really, really good friends. And what Ron Polk did for SEC baseball, Skip Bertman took it to the next level. He took SEC baseball and he ran with it. He got 5, World Series championships while he was coaching. He got a brand new gorgeous stadium built for LSU. So, Skip, I tip my cap to him all the time. Every time I see him, I shake his hand and tell him thank you for what he did for college baseball and the level that he put the SEC at, because everybody had to chase him now. Everybody had to get new stadiums. They had to get better teams. They had to get better pitching to catch LSU. So
Yeah.
it was a great job, and I give Skip as much credit as possible.
Did he tell you, say, oh, Will, if I was the coach, see, you'd have never gone to Starkville, okay?
That's exactly, you hit the nail on the head right there. That's exactly how he puts it. You'd never go to Starkville. So,
how many Starkville jokes has Skip told you in the decade?
oh, who knows? Numerous every time. Skip and Ron Polk are both great speakers. They speak all the time. They got these, laid out shticks that they go through, and they got those jokes, and it's one after another, and so you hear them all.
Let's see. A tornado blew through Starkville, did $5 million worth of improvements.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's always those little jabs. He finds a way to get in everybody, so it's fun stuff.
Hey, look, when I go there, I enjoy it. I like quiet sometimes, I don't need all that.
Hey, I can tell you one thing. You go to Starkville for an SEC weekend, especially, a big series like, Mississippi State and LSU. First off, it's not quiet.
Right.
Second off, you could be playing in front of 17,000 people screaming and yelling, acting a fool, barbecue pits going everywhere, smoke all over the field. And, I've told a lot of the Mississippi State guys, I haven't had a chance to talk to the LSU dudes, but I told the Mississippi State guys, I said, you see all of this right here? I said, when y'all go into minor leagues, you ain't going to have none of this. I said, so enjoy what you have right now.
Yeah, that is true, that playing at a high level like that might be the pinnacle for a lot of guys, because getting on a bus and staying in some, $49 a night hotel and all that, that's
Yeah, and you don't have the Tiger Athletic Foundation footing the bill and nothing like that. So and you don't have that NIL money. So you better get used to being a little hard love, which is what I do when I go in. I see these kids that are playing.
And I want to ask you about that. I didn't word that properly, quiet, because quiet, you know what I mean, when you're driving in, but your venues, I mean, certainly the football stadium as well. I've been told for a stadium of its size, it's about as loud as it can be. Davis Wade.
Yeah, and as you well know, they got the cowbells acting a fool and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, you look at an LSU home game. I mean, you got 100,000 whatever people in Tiger Stadium, but you probably got 200 grand outside making just as much noise. Barbecuing and tailgating and all that. So SEC, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, track, whatever, I mean, it's a happening. And, they got a great following. SEC's done a great job. And I was fortunate enough to play in the SEC. I'm an SEC fanatic. I'm pulling for them in the College World Series right now. And we'll see what goes on.
So when you played at Mississippi State, so what was the deal? Like you might get a free dinner at Ryan's Steakhouse or something, or you might.
Every now and then you get a alumnus that would come by and he'd give you a handshake and there'd be a little $20 in there or whatever. You're like, all right, I got gas money for the week or whatever it was, But I mean, playing back in the day in Starkville was a small town. You could not walk around without being recognized. And so, you got to be friendly with not only everybody in town, but basically the people that are supporting you on the baseball field. So, it was a great atmosphere to grow up and be a ball player.
So like Tommy Hodson, the guy that played quarterback at LSU in the late 80s, he would tell me like, I didn't have any money. I'm like the big man on campus and I bought a car. I couldn't pay for it. I had to give it back. We would go to Burger King for $1 a day and stuff like that. So we don't want to go back to that.
Well, put it this way. Tommy's bending it a little bit on you because don't think he didn't go out by some of them trailers out there and have a few handshakes. So he's bending that a little bit on you.
Yeah. After he
put it this way, if they giving handshakes at Mississippi State, what do you think they're doing at LSU?
After Tommy threw that pass to Eddie Fuller to shake the earth, I'm sure there were a few. There might have been.
I promise you, Tommy didn't go hungry that night.
He did not. But okay, so we obviously you want to take care of the student athlete.
Yeah.
But you also want to play for Mississippi State, and you don't want to be hiring hired guns, right? Or is that what you got to do to win? And you just got these are the rules, and you suck it up, and you say, hey, this guy may not love this place, but he'll hit home runs, and we got to get him.
I mean, you have to, as a team, whether it be Ron Polk, Skip Bertman, whoever it might be, you have to plug in the holes because every year you're going to lose some guys, whether they graduate or whether they go into pro ball, whatever it is, you're going to have some holes. And so you have to recruit in order to fill those holes. Well, now with the NIL money, it's not necessarily as much recruiting as is buying. And, Paul, Jay Johnson. I mean, he lost Cruz and Skeens. I mean, those are two big pieces to lose, but he still found a way there at the end to make it as far as they did.
And as we're sitting here, this may be dated, but by the time somebody watches it, but we got two SEC teams in the national championship and dominating and the SEC really, I don't want to say they dominated, but yeah, kind of Omaha. I mean, they got the two teams in the finals. So yeah, the level of ball too, right? I mean, you go watch these Friday night pictures and stuff. It's pretty incredible.
Unbelievable. And, if you sit there and you just take it as a whole, first off, SEC, and then, the other four teams in the College World Series this year with ACC. If you look at it and you look at the guys that get drafted, I mean, it's like, I'm not kidding you. It's like 60-40 SEC and ACC as opposed to everywhere around the country. And that's because these coaches, whether it be Texas A&M or Georgia or South Carolina or Florida State or Duke or whoever it might be, Kentucky, I mean, these coaches are doing such a great job that when these guys get drafted and they go into pro ball, they're getting more of a polished prospect instead of having a high school kid that they're going to have 3 years of just beating on this guy, trying to get him to be, do all the X's and O's the right way. Now you're getting a polished college kid who's closer to the major league level, and he's been facing quality competition the whole time because he's in the SEC, ACC, whatever it might be. He's facing guys throwing 94, 95. He's used to this.
Yeah. I don't know what the stat is. I think I read it years back, but it's like 70 or 80% of college baseball players play in front of 300 fans or less, or 500 fans or less.
Yeah.
And you look at LSU and Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Arkansas, and think, well, that's the way it is. Well, not really. For a select few.
And I mean, hey, and to be totally honest, if you get into pro ball, and good luck. I hope, knock on wood, you make it to the major leagues. You go in a place like, Chicago Wrigley or Boston Red Sox or whatever. It ain't a lot of fun sometimes. I mean, they are on you severely. So, I think that also bodes well for the college kids that have had to do with the Arkansas Sueys and all the rest of the stuff, So it really is. I mean, I'm not selling them short. Matter of fact, I'm trying to build them up. How good some of these college programs are now.
Awesome. Anything else I should have asked you, my friend?
That's up to you. My resume is pretty well known. You can YouTube me if you need to find out some stuff. I still, I'm 60 years old now. I got two titanium hips thanks to LSU's team orthopedist Brent Bankston. But I still swing a baseball bat a lot. And, I try to pass on that knowledge of the game, just like Willie Mays did for me. I try to pass it on to the current Giants and then our up and coming Giants as well.
Well, I enjoyed looking at some of your clips. Your first home run was off of Nolan Ryan in the majors, correct?
First home runs off of Nolan Ryan. I'm the career leader in homers off of Nolan.
How many did you hit?
7. He
7.
doesn't like me. He doesn't like me.
He's going to put you in a headlock like he did.
Yeah, no, he believe it or not, he signed when he blew out his elbow in '93, he signed a 10-year personal services contract with the Rangers, and I signed over there in '94, and Nolan would come around the clubhouse and just walk right by me and go tell everybody else hello and all that. My teammates are like, "Hey, what's up with you and Nolan?" I go, "Don't worry about it." I said, "It's a hitter pitcher thing. It's old school. Don't worry about it."
I also saw this clip where you slid in to second base at St. Louis, 88.
St. Louis, yeah.
You were surrounded by like 5 dudes.
Yeah, we had a little brouhaha going right there. I got a few blows in before I got taken to the ground, but yeah, that was kind of what I was known for a while. Matter of fact, I was coaching my son's JV team, and some of the kids were like, "Coach, you really know a lot about baseball." And I go, "Well, thank you." They said, "How do you know so much?" I said, "Well, you guys Google a lot, yeah?" And they go, "Yeah." I said, "Just Google Will the Thrill and see what pops up, right?" And so sure enough, I didn't know it at the time, but when you Googled it, the first thing that popped up was the fight. And so the kids come to the practice the next day and they go, "Coach, you like to fight." And I go, No, it was the fact that I was a major league ball player, silly. So
you play 162 games a year. I mean, it's going to happen from time to time. So
yeah. Hey, look, back then it's boys being boys. Matter of fact, it's kind of funny. The guy I got in a fight with was Jose Oquendo, who was the Cardinals' second baseman. Later in my career, I get traded to St. Louis. Jose Oquendo is my third base coach. He and I went out and had beers and laughed and giggled, and it's boys being boys, and it was the heat of the moment, all that sort of stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Will. I appreciate it, man. And congratulations on a great career. And you're in Prairieville, right? I mean, you're right.
I am in Prairieville. I'm around quite a bit. My daughter, actually, believe it or not, is a senior at LSU. So I do have some LSU roots. And, being here in the Baton Rouge Metroplex, I do support LSU as much as possible.